Hello again, YouTube. This is Brandon Moore with Hero Holsters LLC, and I've got a little video tutorial for you today. I'm going to talk about how I took my Harbor Freight 1-ton arbor press and modified it for use in setting rivets. Now, I know a lot of you use eyelets for your holsters. So far, I only use rivets, but I believe you're going to be able to use this method for your eyelets as well. From what I understand, some of the dies for setting those rivets have a 3/8 shaft. Even if it's a different shaft size, you can drill it accordingly. The dies that I use are from Tandy Leather, and I usually use the 5/16 double cap rivet, and it's got a 3/8 inch shaft on it. And so I'm going to walk you through step by step how I modify my press. So let's get started. I'm going to come over here to the drill press, which I've already got set up. I've taken the arbor press apart, which really just means I pulled this shaft out of it, and used a straight edge to draw an X on the shaft, marking the center of the shaft there. And let me get some better lighting on it. So I've got the center marked out. I've got some WD-40 on top. That's probably some kind of safety violation as far as drilling metal. There may be some kind of specific oil out there that you want to use for drilling metal. WD-40 is obviously flammable, and if it sparks, it could catch on fire. I'm not too worried about it. If it does catch on fire while I'm filming, you'll have something to laugh about, but I'm not overly worried about it. But that's going to keep it lubricated while I'm drilling down into the shaft. I haven't checked to see if it's centered up yet, so I'm just going to do that real quick here. Alright, and we're good. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you do want to have it as close to the center as possible. In one of the later steps, you're going to be able to line that hole up with another hole that you'll be making. And so even if you're just a little bit off center here, as long as you match up with the hole that you set for your base, then you're still going to be good to go. As you can see here, I've got a deep enough hole drilled that the bit that I'm using, or the die that I'm using, seats all the way down in. The harder part of doing something like this is drilling a hole in the side here and using a tap and die set to make a threaded hole so you can have a set screw there. Not sure if I'm going to do this one myself for the set screw. I may take it to a metal worker I know. The last one I did was kind of a pain in the rear end. And take it slow. I imagine there's a better way to secure this this shaft to your drill press than holding onto it with your hand. I'm going to recommend that you not hold onto it with your hand. It's probably not the brightest thing in the world to do. And besides that, when you're holding it like that, hot pieces of metal are flying out of it and landing on your arm. So I would recommend finding some way of securing it while you're drilling it like that, and not be dumb like me. Alright, let's get on to the next part. Alright, what I got here is just a cutout piece of medium density fiberboard from one of the old vacuum formers that I made when I first got started doing this. It's just been sitting in the corner. You never know when you need a piece of scrap wood. As you can see from this piece here of the arbor press, it's got this little shaft sticking out of it. So I've got a hole drilled right here, and I'm going to be setting that down in there so that it's sitting flush on the board, and then I can get get into the metal here and drill the holes that I need. I'm going to end up drilling 3, and then I'll leave 1 flat, because with the inside the waistband hybrids, you want the back side of the rivet to be flush with the material so it's not poking into the body. In order to have everything line up properly and know where to drill, I'm going to have to set up the arbor press and have everything in place, and put the die in, bring it down, make a mark on the metal, and then I'll be able to line up my drill bit with that mark. So I'm going to do that. We'll come back and get it drilled. Alright, I've got some circular marks on there from one of my dies. May not be able to see it on camera, but I can see it from up here. And throw on some gloves, and we'll get these bottom holes drilled out. Alright, so I got 3 holes drilled, and what that allows for, let me grab the other piece here. You can have one half of your die sitting there, and the other half of your die in the shaft above, and it comes down, presses out your rivet or your eyelet, whatever it is you're working with. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is take this shaft from the arbor press, and I'm going to round off these edges and corners. When you're setting a rivet on a scabbard and this is coming down, it can have a tendency to get in the way as you're trying to get in close, because it's good for appearance sake to keep this flange as small as possible once it's cut out. And in order to do that, you're going to have some of this metal out of the way, so it's not protruding and scratching up your kydex and marring the finish of it. Alright, well, I don't really claim to be a metal worker, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got the edges rounded off. They're not going to be in the way so much, and just got a bit of a smaller head on that, so it's not going to be messing up my kydex as I'm pressing those rivets in. That's really about it. You just need to get it put back together. When you took it apart, you probably noticed that a small rectangular flat piece of metal fell out, so you're going to need to get it put back inside there. The 4 bolts here on the front plate will remove that front plate. The 2 bolts that are protruding from the middle are going to press against that small piece of metal that came out when you took the whole thing apart. So just take this front plate off, kind of hold it in the palm of your hand and lay the small flat piece of metal inside it, and then put the shaft on top of that, sandwich it all back together, and that'll keep it from falling out as you're putting everything back in place. Otherwise it's going to fall every time you try to get it on there and make you want to throw it across the room. So don't ask me why I know that. Well, I hope this helped you out a little bit, and if you're finding this on YouTube, you can come and join the discussion on bending kydex over at kydexpro.com, and I'll have a link down in the description for the thread that this video was posted in. Hope to see you there. Thanks.